What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Winning Picks Weekly. I am your host this week, Greg Albert. John is out. Maybe he's chasing home run balls from Aaron Judge. Maybe he's working. We'll see if he comes up with it. But I'm here with Chip Murphy7. What's going on, Chip? How you doing?
What's up, Greg? Great to be talking college football always, talking betting always. We'll talk about the slate. We were just talking about maybe not the best slate this week, but happy for John if he's chasing Aaron Judge balls
I don't think
tonight.
I think he's working,
Yeah.
but still, I like to think that he's out there somewhere. And if he does get the home run ball, he's not giving it to Aaron Judge for free. We already talked about that. That kid that gave it to him for
Oh my God,
nothing. That was
shocking.
It's shocking indeed. But again, Winning Picks Weekly, we're on all audio platforms: Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can get a podcast. We are there. And we're also on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube. So if you're following on, like, comment. Let us know what you're taking this week, because even though it might not be the best slate, Chip, I don't know. I haven't looked at the future schedules. I love the Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday games. Spread it out a little bit. So, there's some weak spots on the Saturday slate, but let's start maybe a little recap of week 3. Is there anything that stood out to you week 3 in some of these games?
Week 3. Mississippi State's performance against LSU.
A little surprising.
I was very high on them. I thought they were going to be one of the best teams to bet all year, and they really disappointed. I know they were on the road.
Was it the offense or the defense that surprised you more?
Oh, the offense had to be the more surprising. I mean, that's a Michael Leach team. Yeah. I mean, if the defense got lit up, it wouldn't have been that surprising.
Yeah.
But my God, that was disappointing. I mean, Will Rogers, we were like, that guy's just going to throw for 1 billion yards.
Yeah, 5,050 touchdowns is what I kept hearing from people.
Exactly. Yeah. Heisman dark horse, some people were saying.
Yeah. And
that was surprising. That was a really surprising performance. I mean, that I would say that was up there. I think some people were surprised by Washington against Michigan State. I wasn't. I've been saying it about Michigan State all year. I know you have been saying the same.
And you called the line. You and John called that out. Like, Michigan State's top 25 team going to Washington. Why are they getting points? Why are they getting 3 points? It wasn't even close.
By the way, we have another one of those this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. You noticed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be looking at those for sure. A couple games that kind of stood out to me a little bit was I was betting the late slate, so I was out of town, I was at a wedding, got back from a reception or whatever it was, the pre-day thing or whatever. Those late games were so easy. I think it was Utah versus San Diego State maybe. That was easy. USC versus someone, easy again. So I like those. The Syracuse under ripped my soul out.
I mean, Cuse money line. I told you.
It was insane. There was someone at the wedding that was from Purdue, so I was able to talk a little smack, being a New York boy, talking about Syracuse. But boy, was it something to see 40 points scored in the fourth quarter without overtime to lose my under by 3 points. I mean,
Van Pelt was talking about it even. On sports.
I didn't see that. I'm happy I didn't see it. It was something to be watched. The other thing, too, for me, my best bet of the week, Georgia, 48-7 over South Carolina. Georgia's good. I don't know if I talked about it last week, but I looked at it a week or two ago. Stetson Bennett to win the Heisman was 20-1. I took it. I think he's down to 12-1 now. Do I think he's the best quarterback in college? No. I think there's better arm talent quarterbacks in college. Do I think he's in the best position to repeat as national champion, to maybe have one of the best passing seasons because of the weapons that he has around him and the team that he plays on? Yes. So I took it as a little bit of a long shot, just because you would think number one team in the country off a championship would have higher odds, would be at the, towards the top of the list. So sprinkled a little bit on it, $50 or whatever. Wasn't anything crazy, but still something to watch out for. His odds are dropping, which is good.
Yeah, they were really high preseason. It was like 60-1 higher than that.
Yeah, and I saw it then, and I thought about it, but I was just like, if he had a shot at winning, it would be lower. But maybe I was wrong. I don't know. The Georgia just looks unbelievable Texas, a nice bounce back for them against UTSA. I thought that was going to be closer.
Feel bad for Spencer Rattler because I had South Carolina, so I watched a little bit of that, and I was like, man. UTSA, though. UTSA is legit. I really like them.
Yep. Yeah, so that was some of the things that kind of stood out to me. Other one, too, Texas A&M versus Miami. I had A&M. I think that was such an easy bet, but it wasn't that easy of a bet. That was an ugly, ugly game.
What a disappointment Miami was in that one.
Yeah, 3 field goals. So I think they have a good shot to bounce back. They're on my card this week, so we'll talk about it.
Oh, one more, Penn State against Auburn. I know it's Auburn, but they dominated. They dominated like a great team. They dominated.
Yep.
Like great team.
Yeah, that was another game I had, Penn -3. I also, now that I'm looking back on my card last week, Wisconsin, the under 46. I mean, they just scored 1 million points out of nowhere, so I don't think
they won't do that again.
No. Oh, and I can't believe I buried the lead. Bowling Green, my guys. Outright winner. I'm the Bowling Green Whisperer. 2 seasons in a row now. Hit a big money line on them. I got a good eye on this Bowling Green squad. I love them. I don't like them this week. I'm nervous about a letdown spot. They're getting a ton of points, so maybe think about it. But, God, Bowling Green and these 17, 18-point outright winners. They just keep, once a year, they're good for it. So
I can't believe I took them. I can't believe I took the spread on them. And the one time I bet them, they're not the usual MAC team that I bet. And I go with them one time and I don't take money. I don't have the guts to go money line.
Yeah, I did a little bit. I did $25 on the money line, $50 on the spread.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. But still, it was enough. It was enough to get my account up. So had a good week last week for college. Wasn't great in NFL. But again, if you're following along, John and I go over every NFL game. Usually John's here. The 3 of us go over every college. Pretty much every college game, I guess. There's a lot of games, so we miss a few here and there. But let's start with Thursday night, and I know this won't be out in time, so if you're following us, Winning P Weekly on Twitter, we tweet out what we're taking. Chip Murphy 7, he tweets out and talks about the games too, which, it's incredible, some of the stuff that you're able to find and dig up on these games. So let's start on Thursday night. Do you have anything going tonight? The games are kicking off right now as we're talking.
Yeah. I got West Virginia tonight. I got West Virginia -2. That's actually my only play of the night right now. I was thinking about Illinois for later, but not right now. As of now, I don't think I'll be playing that one. Right now, West Virginia -2 is my only play. I know it's at Virginia Tech, so I thought about Vatech, but I know we were talking before we came on here about, Virginia. There's a lot of hype. Virginia Tech's defense, and West Virginia's defense is really bad.
Yep.
But Virginia Tech's defense played well against Boston College, who lost to Rutgers, and Wofford, wherever they're in, FCS, whatever conference they're in, and they lost to Old Dominion. So they haven't played an offense like West Virginia's, who, despite losing to Kansas, put up a lot of points, JT Daniels threw for a lot of yards. I know the metrics say he hasn't had a spectacular season, and I don't know, man. A majority of the bets are on West Virginia. The money is on West Virginia, which I think is pretty unusual for a team that hasn't played great and is on the road. But I think it also speaks to the fact that, Virginia Tech lost to Old Dominion. And I just think there's not a lot of reason to be confident about Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has a new head coach, and I know West Virginia's coach isn't like the best coach and is probably a little bit on the hot seat, but they're also, it's a huge rivalry. The rivalry's back. I like West Virginia in this.
I'm with you, and I was looking at the slate. There's 3 games tonight. I went with Georgia Southern. Georgia State.
Georgia State against Coastal,
against Coastal, hosting Coastal. We'll talk about that in a second. I was looking at West Virginia. I was thinking about it. I was not looking at Illinois Chattanooga.
I was just gonna take Illinois just because it's Chattanooga, but I'm like, it's 21, and I'm like,
it's Illinois given 21, scary. So I actually just put a live bet in for West Virginia because I was on the fence about it. You kind of convinced me on it. Virginia Tech, I love Virginia Tech, but they're just not the same Virginia Tech we had in high school and college. It's a different team. They're in a different
No.
spot. I liked what I saw from West Virginia against Pitt. I think that, like you said, they've been playing okay. They haven't been playing great, but under a field goal on the road, yes, but I think they can get it done. So I'm with you in that. I'm going West Virginia. I just punched that in. Like I said, I also had Georgia State. I tweeted that out earlier. I like them against Coastal. I do not. It's like weird. It's Coastal's 3-0 and Georgia State's 0-3. But I think they're two totally different stories. And I think these teams are a lot closer than people realize. I think Georgia State's been pretty competitive in most of their games. They've been able to score. Coastal Carolina, to me, just has not been competitive.
They got outgained last week by Gardner Webb. Their defense stinks. It's bad. They are not the same team as last year.
Yeah, and like I said, Georgia State's been able to play. I mean, they started out with 14 against South Carolina, but then they moved up, scored 28 on North Carolina. They put up 41 against Charlotte last week. That was another one that was a little surprising. I was talking about how Charlotte stinks, so I think I went with Georgia State last week, but the over in that one was an absolute easy bet because they were able to score. I think the same thing happens. You take a home team getting points. I think these teams are closer than what their records say, and I think it's going to be competitive. So if you're getting a couple points at home, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, if I were going to bet that one, I would take Georgia State. We were saying earlier, like both of us have been on Coastal for a while, but there's just not a lot of reason to trust them right now. They just lost a lot. They're not the same team. Their defense is bad. Their offensive line has been bad. It's just there's no reason, especially on the road. It's different. So yeah, if I were betting it, I agree with you. I'd go Georgia State.
Yeah, I think John just tweeted us too. He likes Virginia Tech, and he likes Georgia State. So he's going Virginia Tech first half, Georgia State first half, which he's a big first half better. I don't really do it too much, but
I don't do it a lot. I know Big Cat from Barstool does first quarter. That's his new thing. So I see him sweating out first quarters all the time, and I'm
crazy.
Like, I don't know if I could do that. I'd lose my mind if I was doing first quarters every game. But first halves, maybe. I'm with you. I've never really gotten into that.
To me, I do the Alabama. First half, especially if it's under a number.
Different. That's
if
different.
It's 20 and a half, and it's like, okay, 21, 20. If it's right under a football number, I don't mind it. Stat I saw this week is that Michigan, is incredible in the first half over the last 2 years. I think they're like 15-3 or something like that in the first half.
That makes
sense. I'm starting to look at them for the first half spreads as well as Alabama, just because I think that both those teams are playing really well. Georgia's another one that's just playing so dominant. They want to come out swinging. They want to start fast. So I get that. So we got West Virginia tonight. Georgia State, I'm taking that. We're staying away from Chattanooga, Illinois on Thursday. Let's go to Friday, because I think we got a couple teams that we've been riding for on Friday going and playing. So we got Virginia at Syracuse to start 7 o'clock. Syracuse, I think, has had a very impressive season so far that you called from the beginning. Virginia, I do not think is impressive at all. Syracuse, what's the spread on this?
10 some places.
10. Yep.
9.5, I think, right now on FanDuel.
Yeah, so if you can get it at 9.5, I think that's a great bet. 75% of the money right now at 10 is on Syracuse. 65% of the money is on the over. 53.5. I do not like the over in this game. I had the under last week in Syracuse. We talked about that earlier. All those points absolutely killed me. I'm going with Syracuse in this one. Give me Syracuse minus 10. I just don't like what I've seen from Virginia. I like what I've seen from Syracuse. So don't overthink it. Just take the team that's playing better at home.
Virginia barely got away with a win last week. Probably should have won that game. I think that was Old Dominion, actually, too, right? We just talked about them. Yeah. Cuse's defense did not look great. Probably did not. Got a little lucky to win that game. Some horrible penalties by Purdue.
Yep.
But they won, and I think they're going to be better. Like you said, Virginia just doesn't look impressive, and Cuse has looked like the much better team all year long. There's a reason they're favored by this much. Obviously I'm betting Cuse. I'm riding them until they give me a reason otherwise. Yeah. So, yeah, Cuse minus 9.5, Cuse minus 10, whatever you can get it at.
Yeah, especially if you can get it at 9.5. That's a
Yeah.
great line. Um, Another team that I'm riding with, and I don't know, I'm in a weird spot where I don't know if I'm riding with them or if I'm chasing them. I can't figure that out yet.
Uh-huh.
Is Air Force. Air Force
Oh,
at home against Nevada. I think there's a legitimate conversation that needs to be had about Nevada being the worst team in college football. I mean, they are atrocious so far.
I thought when you said I thought you were fading Nevada because I'm off Air Force after the Wyoming game last week. I got to be honest with you.
I'm with you. I did not like what I saw out of them. Um, just not able to get it done. 14 points after scoring 48 and 41. Granted, maybe Wyoming's a little bit better than Colorado and Northern Iowa. I don't know. They're a lot better. Maybe it's on the road at Wyoming was a little weird.
Yeah,
Maybe it was
maybe.
earlier in the week. I don't know what it could be, but I was very surprised to see 14 points out of Air Force. I think they bounce back here. I think this is a great bounce back spot for them. What I can't figure out is what my bet is going to be. It's minus 24. That is a ton of points for Air Force. I think we said it last week with Wyoming. I think it was 17 was the closing line, maybe if I remember correctly. That was a lot of points for Air Force. 17 or 20 something points is a lot. 24 is a ton.
With the way they play, and
Yeah.
if they don't score on like two drives, they may not cover. So
Yeah.
because of they play so slow. Yeah.
And
So
Nevada's
they got to be like perfect to score that many points.
so that's what's got me thinking. So then I agree with you. To 24 points, you have to score 5 touchdowns really because Nevada's
Yeah.
chances are going to score something. But maybe they don't. Maybe Nevada doesn't score a touchdown. Maybe they kick a field goal or two. So I'm kind of leaning towards the under here. 46.5 is the over under right now. 75% of the money's on the under. 66% of the money's on Air Force. I think after last week's performance for Air Force, I'm not sure what I'm getting from them. So that's why I'm getting hung up on this game a little bit. I'm going with the under 46.5 on this one just because I think that it's a bounce back spot. But to your point, I don't know if 24 just seems like way too much if they're going to be able to cover that.
Yeah. If I now that you say that, I think I'm leaning under, but I can't. The Wyoming game put me off Air Force, and obviously there's no way I'm betting Nevada. They're horrible. If I were
Atrocious.
gonna lean one way, I'd lean the under. So
Okay.
I'm with you there.
You got any bets going in for Boise State or UTEP?
Boise is so unimpressive.
It's
So
crazy.
unimpressive. Their offense is they have taken such a fall from grace. Such a fall from grace. And I don't know enough about UTEP to bet them. Uh, I just Boise on the road is getting that many points. I believe it's 17 somewhere, right?
It's insane. Yeah, 16 I see right now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, unimpressive. Uh, I don't trust them. It's weird. Friday games are weird. No, I don't
Yeah,
want
if
to
I,
do
if
that.
I were going to do anything, it would probably be the under 45.5 just because
Mm,
I don't know what I'm getting from either of these teams. Like you said, Boise State hasn't been impressive. UTEP hasn't done anything in a while.
nah.
So, yeah, so that ends Thursday and Friday. Let's go to Saturday where I like the noon. I like some of these noon games. We talked about it earlier. I think we both like some of these noon games. And then it might die off a little bit, but then it picks right back up. I got a lot of plays in the later windows. So, let's start at Saturday at noon. What's your first bet here that you're going to be looking at?
Okay, my first one, Michigan minus 17. Is
Yep.
that what you have it at? Minus 17 against Maryland?
Yep.
That's my first one there. I like Michigan minus 17 against Maryland. I think Maryland, I've said they're inconsistent, overrated all year. Maryland has been bad in Big Ten play, particularly against the spread. And Michigan against teams that are not Ohio State has been, and I guess they've recently more struggled against Michigan State, but they've been really good in conference play. I try Michigan has been dominant this year. I know they played shit teams,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think there's a reason the line is that big, and I trust Michigan at home again. on a Saturday afternoon against Maryland, who Michigan is just going to consider them like they're just going to run them over. Fox. I'm taking Michigan at home.
Yeah, I'm with you in that. This is their first game where the spread is under 30 points this season. I mean, they've played no one. This is their first, I don't know if you can really say test, but it's their first somewhat competitive game. Stats that I have here that I pulled up: Maryland 0-10 against the spread versus top 25 teams. Maryland 13-1 to the over versus top 10 teams. In the last 15 games they've played top
They
10
give up a
teams.
lot of points.
They give up a ton of points. They don't cover. I'm going with a double bet here, though. I'm going Michigan minus 17, and I'm going over 64.5. And I'm rooting for points in this one.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I may have to lean the over too, but I'm definitely going Michigan minus 17. I think they blow the doors off them.
Yeah, I think something else to look at, too, is the line wasn't up earlier when I was looking. The first half line sometimes I just can't find. I think I have it here now. Michigan minus 10.5 for the first half. So
Okay.
something to keep an eye on if you think they can get to, Michigan, like we said, pretty good against the spread in the first half. So something to keep an eye on here for the next 1 o'clock game. This is a game I'm struggling with, Chip, and I need some help. Big time. Because you've talked about one team playing a lot. I want to ride with Wake Forest bad. I don't think Clemson's that good. I don't think DJ's good. I think the other kid's better. But that Clemson defense scares the absolute living hell out of me. Wake Forest, Clemson. Wake Forest is home getting 7 points against Clemson, the 5th-ranked team right now in the country.
Yes.
Over-under's 55.5. 85% of the money's on the over. 63% of the money's on Clemson minus 7. I think Wake Forest has looked good. They're home getting 7 points. Everything to me screams take Wake Forest. But I'm scared, Chip. Are you betting this game? Have you looked at this game at all?
I have looked at this game. I'm already on Wake Forest. I
Let's
decided
go.
I'm taking +7 Wake Forest, +7.5 on FanDuel right now. I'm taking it. Like you said it right from the you said DJ right from the start. He stinks. I love look, maybe it's a dumb gambling thing. I love the offense. I know Clemson has just is defense is incredible. And I don't know, man. Their offense has looked even worse this year than it did last year, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. All it has to happen is Sam Hartman has to make a couple of plays, I feel like. So, yeah, I like Wake here. At Wake, that crowd's going to be so jacked up. I don't know. It's different. Yeah.
Wake Forest is ranked as well, so there's a big matchup here. Wake Forest ranked 21, Clemson ranked 5. All right, I'm going with Wake Forest as well. I'm taking the points at home. Give me Wake +7.5. Like I said, I was nervous about that Clemson defense. I don't think Clemson's really played anyone too much this year, so I don't have a great read on them. They were dead in the water to cover against Georgia Tech to start the season, but they ended up covering that game somehow. Like I said, haven't seen anything really too impressive out of them. But what else you got for a noon game? Anything else in this noon 1 o'clock area that you're looking at?
I got 3 more. I can just rip them off if you want.
Yeah, sure.
The over I got 2 overs.
Okay.
Kansas versus Duke.
Oh,
and
let's talk about that.
I can't bet against Duke, but I got to bet that game because I mean that's the game of the day. Obviously, we all got our eyes on that.
Yep.
And the over in TCU versus SMU, and then we got a MAC game tomorrow, so I got to bet that. Eastern Michigan against Buffalo. Spread right now is 6, I believe, and Eastern Michigan. So I'm going Eastern Michigan -6 against Buffalo. I think those are the only other 3 noon games I'm taking. And Eastern Michigan -6 at home against Buffalo.
So Buffalo
looks like they stink.
We talked about Buffalo last week, right? We said Buffalo, Coastal Carolina, I believe was the matchup, 13 points. Coastal Carolina.
Buffalo covered last week, I
They
think.
did, but Coastal Carolina left a lot of points on the board. Like, they
Yeah.
shouldn't have covered, but they ended up covering. So I think maybe there's some love there. Eastern Michigan, any worry about a letdown, right? Didn't they have a big win last week?
Who did they? God, I already forgot. They beat Arizona State, right? Arizona State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
Arizona
killed
State.
Herm Edwards. He's out.
Yeah. I'm not really worried about a letdown.
You
No.
don't think Arizona State is a game they got up
I
for
don't
and got all juiced up for?
I don't well, I mean, I'm sure they did,
Well,
but
yeah, but it's not like App State versus a ranked team
I
or
was
any of
just
those
gonna
other
say,
ones.
I doubt they're feeling the same buzz that App State did. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like
Yeah.
they're more focused on trying to win the MAC than they are like that. That's what their minds have already moved to that. Like App State was still pumped a week later about winning. I just think it's more fading Buffalo. I just think Buffalo is bad, but I also think Eastern Michigan's pretty good, so I'm going with them.
I
But
like that.
yeah, the TCU versus SMU over, I think, is a great bet. By the way, like 85% of the money is on TCU, so I thought about taking SMU in that one, but
That's what I
yeah,
thought too.
but they didn't look great last week when they lost, so
Has
I stayed
TCU
away
looked
from
good
that.
though?
They're coming off a bye. So
Yeah,
I don't even remember how they looked. It feels like forever ago the last time they played.
I feel like it hasn't been that impressive. I was surprised to see. I see 95% of the money on TCU. I was pretty surprised by that because I agree. SMU, I don't think looked great against Maryland last week.
No.
But they still scored high 20s or low 30s. Like the over-under was 76, I think it was. I had the under in that one. That was another one that was pretty easy. I think they finished in the 60s. But I just can't believe that TCU is this crazy team that deserves 95% of the money. I was very surprised by that. So I was in agreement with you that I was going to just take SMU to fade the public here a little bit. Home team getting points. But I ended up staying away from it. So you're going with the over in that one.
Yeah. The last
70.
the last two times these teams have played, the point totals both been in the high 70s, like 76 and I think 79. And this is the Sonny Dykes revenge game for these SMU guys. He was the coach at SMU last year, and he's the coach at TCU this year. I think they're going to want to beat him. They're going to want to score a lot of points against him. But TCU probably has a better team. I think it's going to be a lot of scoring in this one.
I like that.
It's
Another
also-
game that
yeah.
you mentioned too that you think is going to be a lot of scoring is this Duke-Kansas game.
Yes.
I really like the over too. I'll go into it. I was going to take the over. I see it up to 65 right now.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that might
DraftKings
be a
has it.
little too high.
Maybe. Kansas did drop 50 something on West Virginia. And West Virginia's defense does stink. Duke's defense may be a little bit better, but I think they're counting on Duke scoring a little bit of points too against Kansas, and I think they can. Duke has looked as good. Duke's already looked better than they've looked in a long time.
Yeah, last 3 or 4 years, for
like
sure.
a long time.
Yeah, I bet them. I bet Northwestern against Duke, and Duke absolutely killed me that
Oh
game.
my
So
God,
now
they
I'm just kind of
obliterated
respecting
them.
Duke.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but Duke to me, I was thinking Duke +7 maybe. But if I'm going to take anything, I'm with you. I'm leaning Kansas over right now, 65. I'm a little nervous about the points, but to your point, Kansas can score as good as anyone right now in college football. So
It's shocking. Look, the Kansas coach, Leipold, is candidate for the Nebraska job. He's won 3 games.
yeah.
That's how good they've looked.
It's insane. It's insane. So, yeah, I think the only game that I'm adding to my card right now from the games that you talked about is Eastern Michigan, just because it's kind of a fade Buffalo. I think Eastern Michigan's looked okay, and it's under a touchdown, -6
Michigan
at home.
Eastern Michigan is typically consistently a solid team, and Buffalo. We talk about Buffalo. I feel like every week on this podcast, and we always say like people may look at Buffalo and think like, oh, this is Buffalo, but they've stunk for the last 2 years. Don't be fooled. They've stunk.
Yeah, last game I had for the noon slate, and we can move on to the afternoon slate. Georgia -45 against Kent State.
Kent State is terrible against these they got balls scheduling these teams and just going out, getting the money and getting pulverized
Should be
against them.
illegal.
But what they do, man, their football program must be in desperate need of money to do what they do because they just go out there and get crushed. I would feel bad for them if they didn't choose to do it. But
Exactly.
hey, they were in the MAC championship game last year. So we won't see how good they are until they get into the MAC.
Until conference play.
I'm stunned by it.
Yeah, 45 and a half, Georgia at home. I'm taking the spread. Over under 62. It made me think a little bit about it, but again, if they're thinking the spread's going to be 45, the over under 62.
Can Kent State score a touchdown or kick a field goal even?
Yeah, I think you might be relying on Georgia to score all 62 points. So if that's the case, just take the minus 45 and go home. So that's what I'm doing. I've been betting Georgia a lot this year. I mean, it's no surprise. They're phenomenal. They're covering like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They've looked dominant. So, you got anything else for the noon slate, or should we move on to the afternoon?
No, I think I'm good. I thought I'm not sure yet. We were talking about Missouri Auburn, and I was leaning the under in that one, but I'm not sure yet. That's just Missouri, two pretty lousy teams, one coach pretty much on the way out, like so far on the way out that he has people on ESPN talking about new candidates for his job on the way out, that I could see that game being ugly. And, Auburn got routed by Penn State last week. Could be a just give up game. I was thinking about betting Missouri, but it is at Auburn. Nah, I'm leaning under in that one, but I may just stay away from it altogether. When I put out my picks, maybe, but
yeah. Again, Chip Murphy 7 on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We're winning Pete Weekly on Twitter. We'll tweet out what we're taking because, opened at 54. I think I see it down to 52 or 51 and a half for the over-under.
51. A lot of other people thinking the same thing.
Yeah. When I saw this line, I was like, Auburn shouldn't be -7 against anyone, even though they're
that's
home.
how bad Missouri is,
But
man.
I haven't watched Missouri at all, so it's a stay away from me. But again, if I can feel a little rowdy, I got a couple baseball bets in right now. For my Thursday game, I got some Thursday NFL bets, some parlays. If I get my bankroll up a little bit earlier in the week, maybe I'll sprinkle a little Saturday noon under on Auburn, Missouri, because I was saying to John on the NFL episodes, I might turn into an absolute under fiend because the unders are hitting in the NFL. And I don't care what anyone says. I would start this narrative. I think unders are just as fun as overs to bet.
Oh man, I don't know. I lose my mind betting unders. I'm like, don't go. No, don't score. I can't bet any unders in basketball. College basketball too. I lose my mind betting those. But no, in football too, man. I get so anxious watching, making sure they like one completed pass inside the opponent's territory. I'm like, oh god, I can't do this.
And just like one like 30-yard play, and it's like, this game's over. It could be in the first quarter.
Yeah,
you get one big play, you're like, all right, this is going over. This is nothing. But
I'm going into my phone, checking what the new live point total is to see if how much it's moved.
The live, the live lines,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, if Vegas says that now, then I'm fucked. Yeah. when it means nothing because the quarterback could get hurt.
Anything could happen.
Anything can happen.
Anything could happen at all. Of course, Coastal Carolina's up 14-0 in the first quarter already.
Are they really?
That's just how it goes sometimes. That's the gamble
how
in life.
It goes.
Anyone that said this is easy doesn't know what they're talking about. I got the Astros. Baltimore's up 2-0 against them. I got the Braves. Phillies up 1-0 on them. It's a tough night. This bankroll might not be ready for Saturday afternoon. We're gonna have to figure this out. But while we figure this out, let's move to the Saturday afternoon games. Because I think, like we were saying, I think for me at least, it kind of thins out a little bit here. But one team that I think I'm willing to let back into my life because I swore them off by how bad they played against Louisville, depending on where you're from, is UCF.
Oh.
UCF.
Oh, fuck them.
Minus 20.5. I'm trying to find it right now to see what the money is against Georgia Tech. 96% of the money on Georgia Tech. 84% of the money on the under. Because it's under a football number, I feel like I should take UCF because we talked about it going into the season. Georgia Tech is just that bad. And you're still just have to win by 3 touchdowns. I just don't know if I can trust UCF again because I hate them so much for absolutely doing nothing against Louisville earlier in the season.
I hate UCF, so I can't bet them. I hate them. I hate them. I no, they I hate them for what they did against. They were my spike pick last week, and of course, last week they decided to cover. They No, I hate Malzahn. I hate UCF this year. I can't forgive them. Look, you're right. Louisville or Louisville. Georgia Tech stinks.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know, man.
At
don't
UCF,
even trust.
UCF might be a tough place to play. Bounce house gets rocking a little bit.
It is a tough place to play for sure.
It scares the crap out of me that 96% of the money is on UCF. I did not realize that.
Oh my God, really? Shit.
Yeah, that worries me a little bit,
They
but
haven't
I'm going to
looked
lock
that
and load
good.
with it for now.
That's a lot.
That's a
but
lot. Sometimes the public's right, though. Sometimes the public's right.
For sure.
Hopefully it is right here.
If it's 96% of the money, then a lot of times that means it's for a reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm just going, maybe we're both just going off how bitter we are over that game.
Yeah, that's another one where, like, kind of like with Air Force, I don't know if I'm chasing or if I'm riding or if it's a spite pick. Like, I don't know exactly where I'm at with UCF. But like I said, I'm willing to let bygones be bygones, let them back into my betting life. Because it's 20.5, I'm taking it. And because it's Georgia Tech. Like, everything just lines up. Like, all the boxes get checked for me on a game I should take. It just happens to be UCF. And we have a little history, but I'm willing to let it rock. So give me UCF minus 20.5. What do you got for a 3 o'clock afternoonish slate game that you like?
We already talked about this game, and I said I didn't want to do it. I was kind of staying away from it altogether, but I know I'm going to be watching Florida against Tennessee because my friend is a big Tennessee fan, so I'm going to be watching the game. You got game day at Tennessee. This is a prime spot for Tennessee to shit the bed. And it's minus 10.5. So I don't feel comfortable betting them. But you talked about Anthony Richardson, 0 passing touchdowns this year. Don't trust Florida either. I'm going with the over. Over 62.5. I think we got over 62.5. I'm taking that. I think at worst, Tennessee scores a bunch of points and also gives up a bunch of points. So I'm going with the over. I think Richardson could do a lot of damage with his feet, even if he doesn't pass the ball well. And I don't think Florida's defense will be able to stop Tennessee's offense, especially at home. But I don't trust Tennessee enough. 10.5 points. That's just dumb gambling brain stuff. Looking at, this is a Tennessee game. So I'm like, I don't know.
I'm with you 100%. I said it when we were doing the preview episodes early in the season. I'm the guy that likes to bet against the teams that have Sangs and they're back and it's their year. It's feeling like 98. Texas is back. Michigan's this. Ohio State's that. This is my spot for me in Tennessee. I'm going Florida plus 10.5.
Wow.
I think there's been a lot of talk about Florida not being as good as they were week 1. I think this is just a good old SEC rivalry. I think all the pressure is on Tennessee. And just
for sure.
For at least a decade, they have not lived up to the pressure. So 62.5 is a big number. So they think points are going to be scored. 10.5 point spread when there's going to be points. I like that. I like getting that many points. So give me Florida in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know if I agree that there's more pressure on Tennessee for sure because they're at home and Heupel just got the extension. He just got paid a lot more money. and this is the first year for Napier. But I think they're after that Utah win. I think that put it sounds weird to say, but I think that put maybe made the season more difficult for Florida because that gave them expectations. If they had lost to Utah, this game would mean nothing really to them.
Yeah, but
To
then they followed it up with a loss to Kentucky, though. So it's not like they have an undefeated season going or anything.
true, but if they lose this game, it would be a much bigger disappointment than if they had already lost to Utah too. So I think
That's true.
there's still some hope that they win this one. But you're right. There's definitely more pressure on Tennessee. If Tennessee loses this, it's a huge disappointment. Huge.
Yeah, because they had that pretty competitive win against Pitt already. They have
Yeah.
Bama coming up. They have Kentucky coming up. They have Georgia coming up.
Yeah.
You're hoping to survive and get 2 losses this season if you're Tennessee. I think that's a very successful year for the program.
I think they can do it. I think Bama and Georgia, I think they can beat everybody else on their schedule. Yeah. I think they can. And look, let's be real. Bama's looked beatable so far. I'm not ready to go as far as to say Tennessee can beat them. I'm ready to go as far as to say Bama can be beaten.
I agree. I agree with that. Another game that I like in this kind of afternoon slate here is Cincinnati versus Indiana. Cincinnati minus 16.5 at home. I don't like what I've seen from Indiana so far this season.
They suck.
I do like what I've seen from Cincinnati this season. I think they were competitive in that Arkansas game. It's the first game of the season after losing Ritter, Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant, a ton of other people, a couple linebackers. Like, it was probably one of the biggest loss of production seasons for Cincy that they've had in a while, where starting players, talented starting players, left to go to the NFL. So I think it takes a little while to kind of find your bearings with this new squad. It's not Georgia, it's not Alabama, where you're going to be reloading year in and year out with rock star talent. So I think they look competitive against Arkansas. They've won 2 games against terrible teams, Kennesaw State and Miami of Ohio. Now they're at home against Indiana. Like I said, I haven't really liked what I've seen from Indiana so far this season. I thought the number was kind of low. Maybe I'm kicking myself on Sunday or Saturday
Yeah.
when this game ends, but
There's a reason that a 3-0 team is 17-point dogs. You know, you're not going to see that a lot. Indiana is one of the worst 3-0 teams ever. Yeah, they should not. They barely beat Illinois.
yep,
They barely beat. Western Kentucky blew that game. They should have lost to Western Kentucky last week. They were losing to Idaho uh, at 10-0 at halftime. They were getting shut
crazy.
out by Idaho. Indiana's just not that good. Eventually, their luck is going to run out. It almost ran out against Western Kentucky last week,
Yep.
and I mean, they definitely ain't beating Cincinnati on the road. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati finally gets it rolling this week and just pummels Indiana because we know they're better. Obviously, they're Cincinnati. They'll get it together at some point, and this could be the game where they get it together and just put their foot on Indiana's throat.
I'm with you, and that's why we talk this stuff out. I mean, that's why we break this stuff down and chop it up
Mm-hmm.
because you look at this records. Oh, 3-1 versus 2-1, blah blah blah. You looked at Coastal Carolina 3-0, Georgia State 0-3. It's not going my way right now, but there's a lot of football left. The records can be a little deceiving. So
Exactly. And Indiana's 3-0 record, very misleading.
yeah,
So take it with a grain of salt.
you got another afternoon game for me?
Oh, I think does Notre Dame does play at 3:30,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. So
Notre Dame's
around there. I don't know if it's 4 o'clock,
yeah.
3 o'clock, 3:30,
Notre Dame
three
Notre
thirty.
Dame, North Carolina, Notre Dame at North Carolina, and Minnesota at Michigan State.
Okay.
Be betting both of those. I think Michigan State is +3 right now, or the line is 3 right now. So
Michigan State
I,
at home +3 against Minnesota. Yep. Over under
you know,
51.5 or 50.5.
I'm gonna keep after last week. I'm gonna keep fade Michigan State. I'm a sucker for the analytics stuff and all. I know Minnesota's beaten nobody yet, but all the analytics stuff say their offense is rolling, their defense is rolling. They're favored on the road against Michigan State right now. Minus, I think it just moved to 3, -3. Hopefully it moves again down, but -2.5, -3, whatever. I'm taking Minnesota. I'm going to keep fading Michigan State. I think we both agreed before the season we think they're overrated. I still do. I think Minnesota could win the Big Ten West because it's awful and someone
Yeah.
has to win it, but I think it could be Minnesota. So I like them there. I know I probably shouldn't take Notre Dame. Probably should not do it. But I'm probably going to end up taking Notre Dame on the
Okay.
road against Carolina. And I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it because they're Notre Dame. I don't trust Carolina either. I don't trust their defense.
Defense has been terrible.
I feel like if Notre Dame can score against anybody, it's going to be Carolina, right? Carolina's going to do some dumb shit, and Notre Dame's going to be able to score. And Notre Dame does still have a good defense. Maybe they can stop Carolina's offense. I guess it's 1.5 right now.
Yep.
So I'm not going that. I'm going Notre Dame money line. I'm going to find a good money line, whether it's FanDuel, DraftKings. The money line on FanDuel is plus 104 right now. So yeah, I think I'm going ND money line. Probably shouldn't. Don't love it, but yeah, I don't trust. And plus, I hate Carolina, so I could never bet Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was the over-under is what intrigued me. I see it opening at 58. It's now down to 54, even though 70% of the money's on the over.
I don't love the over with Notre Dame's offense.
Right away, I was like, oh, this is kind of a low number. North Carolina's defense has been terrible. That shouldn't be too bad of a bet. But Notre Dame, I can't trust their offense. I can't trust their defense. I don't know what I'm getting with Notre Dame right now. It's nothing good so far.
Yeah.
But UNC is another one of those sneaky teams that are they 3-0 as well? And
No, they lost that. Oh no, they did beat App State. I keep thinking they lost to them, but they did come back and win that one.
yeah. And that's just another one that's just sneaky. Even though they have a good record, they have not been playing well.
Yeah, that's one of those weird things. Well, if they're undefeated, yeah, then why are they 3-0? Why are they 1.5 point favorites at home against a team that hasn't looked that great like Notre Dame? There's a reason for that, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Last game that I have in the afternoon-ish window, I think we both might have it, so this might be a good conversation, especially with John not being here. I hate to do it to him behind his back, but Washington State hosting Oregon. Oregon, big
going
game
against
last
Bo
week.
Nix.
Going against Bo Nix on the road. Equal amount of touchdowns to interceptions. Just hasn't been good on the road. He's been much better at home. Granted, he's in a different conference now. I still think Washington State has a pretty good defense. It's not an SEC defense, don't get me wrong, but they have a ton of tackles, ton of sacks right now, or ton of tackles for loss, ton of sacks right now. I think they've been doing pretty good, getting points at home. Oregon, I just don't know what I'm getting with Bo Nix on the road right now. They look bad one week, they look good the next week. Give me the points at home with Washington State.
Are we at all worried about the letdown after beating Wisconsin?
I think so. I think there's something to be concerned about there, but
I feel like it's not as big a deal. The letdown isn't as much a possibility when they're playing another ranked team. Like the letdown is more of a possibility, like with App State when they were playing Troy.
yeah,
They almost lost to Troy. Like Washington State has Oregon coming in, and they knew that. So they knew they were going to have to be on their A game again this week. They already knew that. So I like them, and I'm with you on the defense too. And I took the over on them before the season. I'm high on them. I love the quarterback. I love Cam Ward. I know I like Washington State a lot, and I wasn't super high on Oregon because I think Bo Nix stinks. And I've said that I'm not just saying that behind John's back. I've said Bo Nix stinks to John.
Oh yeah.
So I know we both said that. I think.
Oh, in person, over
multiple
Zoom,
times.
in text. If I have to send him a postcard with it, I will. Until he gets it, he'll figure it out. But to your point about the letdown spot, again, we're into it. This is week 4 of college, week 3 of NFL. There's games flying all over. I'm betting baseball. Wisconsin was 2 weeks ago, so last week I think would have been the letdown spot for them against Colorado State.
Shit.
Yeah.
God. Oh my
And
God.
I was laughing because I love college like football terms. Like last week would have been a letdown spot over because they beat Wisconsin. It also would have been a look ahead spot for them because they're looking ahead to Oregon this week, and they still managed to absolutely kill Colorado State 38-7.
Okay,
So,
then I'm definitely confident in them with Washington State for sure.
Also, too, looking at their schedule about the over for them, this I don't know this schedule. If they can keep winning, if they win this game outright, I mean they have Oregon this week, Cal next week, then they're at USC. At Oregon State.
I can't wait for that one.
Home against
Washington
Utah.
State.
And then home against Washington to end the season. There's a lot of ranked teams on the schedule for them, but they've been playing really well. Like I said, I think this defense is pretty good. To your point, Cameron Ward, he's looked pretty good as well. So, yeah, give me the 6.5 points for Washington State for sure in this one.
I can't wait for that point total in the USC game, by the way. That's going to be very interesting.
We started on the NFL episodes doing look-ahead lines.
Yeah.
So I got 2 NFL look-ahead bets for next week already. And it might be a spot to look ahead right now, especially if they come out and they're competitive against Oregon. That number, I'm sure, is going to fall. So it might be pretty big right now. You got anything else in the afternoon slate, or you want to go to this evening slate, the 7 p.m. and later?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I think I got everything there that I wanted to get out.
Good. I got a game to start that I know you're going to have some action on. I know you're going to be talking about it. I know you're going to be watching it intensely. I know John will too, because this is his team for some reason. I can't figure it out. We got Iowa at Rutgers, 7 p.m. RU, 7.5 points, hosting Iowa. The over-under chip has dropped again. It is now 33.5.
I know.
And some sports books with 80% of the money on the under. It is a surreal total. I don't know the last time I've seen 33.5 points.
Cards on the table. I took the under and Rutgers.
Okay.
So I had to take the under. I feel like like I said before, I don't like taking unders, but
I'm telling you, Chip, once you get a little taste of the under life, it starts happening.
In this game, you have to be a guy who says, I took the under in one of the lowest point totals in the history of college football.
Yeah.
And of course I took Rutgers. John just put in the group text that he took Iowa and Rutgers sucks. Okay, we'll see. We'll see,
John.
By the way, Rutgers did not score an offensive touchdown against Temple last week.
That's not good.
They did win the game, but they did not score an offensive touchdown. Their offense is not very good. But Iowa continues to employ incredible nepotism, by the way.
Yeah.
Employ the son of Kirk Ferentz as their offensive coordinator. He's terrible. And they continue to stick with one of the worst quarterbacks in college football. So I think that Rutgers can pull this one off somehow. They have to obviously have some things go their way.
Yeah.
It being at Rutgers is huge. That crowd is going to be jacked up. That's huge for them.
This might be one of their biggest games of the season.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They are they were dead before Shiano got back there. Thank God he's back there. But yeah, obviously I'm taking Rutgers and I'm taking the under 7.5 or the under 7.5 plus 7.5 and the under. I got it at 30. It was 34 on Barstool when I got it. I guess that I got it right before it went down to. It must have went down to 33.5 today, huh?
Yeah, I think some books might still have it at 34. I think just some books are showing it at 33.5 now.
33.5. Holy shit.
It's crazy. To me, this is just a simple numbers game. This isn't looking at the teams. This isn't looking at who's playing. This is when the total is this low and the spread is 7.5 points. Just take the 7.5 points. I mean, you're a fifth of the way there to the over with just the points you're getting. To me, that's just take Rutgers, home team getting points. I think Iowa's looked a little bit better last week than they have in previous weeks, but again, Nothing too crazy. I said it from the beginning. If the total's anywhere in the 40s, I'm taking the under. Vegas has caught on, and they've dropped it to 34, 33.5. I can't take the under or the over in that. It's just too disgusting. So just give me the points with Rucker in this one. And I did see John send a bunch of picks in, so we'll go over those when we get to the end real quick. So we get his picks out there, and we could talk about anything else that we see. What else you got for a 7 o'clock game? Do you have any best bets of the day? My best bet's still coming up.
Oh, I didn't pick my best bet yet. I got to pick that one.
I'll save that.
Am I doing Arkansas A&M?
That was a tough one. I stayed away from it. I can't figure out A&M.
I think Arkansas is kind of sucks. I got to be honest. I think I always love fading the teams that I think don't do well with expectations. And like Purdue is one of those teams. I thought NC State was one of those teams. I got to be honest. And I was completely wrong. I faded them the first game of the year with East Carolina. And now I think I was completely wrong. But I think they shook that out of their system. I think Arkansas is not a team that's going to handle expectations well. A&M, they did this crap last year. They had the disappointing loss last year.
Yep.
They lost to App State this year. I forget who they lost to last year. It feels like a million years ago. But I know they had a terrible loss last year at home. And this year, it's Arkansas. Arkansas is ranked 10th in the country. Yeah, they beat Cincinnati in the opening week, but it was Cincinnati's first game when everybody on the team had gotten drafted and left last year. It was I feel like if Arkansas played Cincinnati again in week 10 or something, it might be a completely different game. And by the way, Arkansas didn't dominantly beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati played a pretty good game and played a pretty lousy game and still almost won that game.
Yep.
So it was down to the wire. So
yeah, just a couple missed passes here and there. Again, that was just a first time quarterback, I think, and a little rust from the team.
Yeah. It just came down to Arkansas has a much better quarterback, and you know what? They have a much better quarterback than Texas A&M too. But they're top 10 and on the road. You know what? Fuck it. I'm staying away from it. I hate that game too. I hate that game too. I hate that game.
It's tough. It's so funny because I go into this, I'm I love the board. Then I'm going through it and I'm I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Then I end up going through and I'm well, I have to pick some games. I start picking games and then we start talking and I add more games to it. And then I'm up to I'm going to be at 20 plays for Saturday by the time this is all said and done.
You know what? I changed my mind again. I changed my mind again. I can't believe I'm betting on Jimbo. I'm going with A&M.
Let's go.
Going with A&M.
To me, I feel like I got my Texas A&M money for the year last week. I bet them in a bounce back spot. They bounced back. They did their thing. Now I'm just never going to bet them again for the rest of the season because I'm just nervous. I'm nervous. A team I'm not nervous about. You talked about them a second ago. NC State is hosting.
NC State at home is always a good bet.
NC State at home, I agree. I think they're hosting UConn. 38.5 is the spread. 49.5 is the over/under. I am betting the under 49.5 in this one. I think the NC State defense is pretty solid. I think UConn, I watched the first game of the season against Utah State. I was fooled by Utah State. I don't think UConn's as good as they looked in week 1. I think we've realized that Utah State just sucks and that playing against a real team like NC State, I think it's going to be very tough for them to move up and down the field. I think NC State, while they are a really good team, especially at home, I don't know if they're going to be scoring into the 40s. I think they're a team that might let up a little bit at the end. So give me the under 49.5 in this one.
Under, okay. Another under?
Yep.
Okay.
And then for another evening game, my best bet of the week, and it is scaring the absolute crap out of me right now because 75% of the money is on Ohio State at home -19. against Wisconsin. The over-under is 57. That money's kind of split 50-50 right now. I will be taking Ohio State as my best bet. Wisconsin is my new spite pick team to go against. They
Wow.
screwed me
Okay.
last week with the under. All of a sudden, they decided to score points this week. They will not be able to score any points. It'll be back to reality for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Ohio State will dominate because Ohio State is the better team. I'm just a little nervous that they're not as good as they always have been, and 19 is a lot of points, if I'm being completely honest. But I think Wisconsin is that bad when they play a good team, so I'm taking Ohio State minus 19 at home.
I like it. I definitely like it for sure. I'm taking Ohio State too.
Let's go.
I look. They don't always play great with these home games where they're favored by a lot of points, but I don't trust. Wisconsin is not up to their standards that they've set previously. I think Ohio State had their trip up game in week 1 against Notre Dame.
Yep.
I think they smoke them. It's not my best bet. I think my best bet is actually going to be Michigan, ironically, against we're talking about Ohio State. I think Michigan minus 17 against Maryland will be my best bet.
I like that.
I think they're really going to fuck Maryland up, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State for sure. I hate how many favorites I'm taking, actually, but I like a lot of favorites.
Yeah, I got a good mix right now. I always worry about that as well. Another 7 o'clock game that I will be taking, but the line's not out yet. But I've said it before. I take it every week. Bama first half. I don't see a line yet for it. I'm not sure when the line will be up. They're playing a terrible team, Vanderbilt, at home. The total for the game is 40. So I'm sure the first half line is probably going to be 28. If it's like 27, that would be incredible. Yep, Vanderbilt stinks. Alabama's good. I think they get right. I mean, I guess they got right last week, but they continue to get right and get into shape at home against Vanderbilt.
Alabama against Vanderbilt. I mean, you don't really need to say anything more than that.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's about to come back to reality. They've looked a little good in non-conference play. They're about to get spanked in SEC play. Could they actually that there's been some talk, could they actually win an SEC game this year? Well, it's not going to be Alabama.
Yeah. We'll figure that out
see.
another week.
Yeah, we'll see.
What else you got in this late window here?
I feel like I don't love it, but I'm taking this is the 10:30. I do like some other games earlier on, but this is the 10:30. I got to fade Arizona State after everything that just happened with Herm. I got to go with Utah. I believe it's minus 15.5.
Yep, that's what I saw
now.
it as.
Yeah. I'm just going to fade Arizona State after, Herm Edwards, whatever happened. They spun it as he decided to leave, but we all know he got fired. He should have been fired before the season started, but I'm going with Utah minus 15.5 at home. Thought about Stanford plus 13.5 on the road against Washington.
Same.
Letdown game after we talked about the Michigan State thing, but I really trust Washington a lot. I really do. So I went against that.
For that game, while we're on it real quick, I agree with you. I was looking at it. Washington's been able to score.
Yeah.
And I think that's produced a pretty high total in this game, 64.5. I'm going with the under. I think to your point, there's a little bit of a letdown spot for Washington, even though it is Stanford. Like they are, I don't know if it's a rivalry, but they definitely play each other a lot. 14.5 scares me a little bit. I was thinking about getting cute and trying to take Stanford. I'm just going with the under 64.5. 97% of the money's on the over. I like the under in this one.
Okay. Yeah. I want to take Miami of Ohio plus 7.5 against Northwestern. I think I'll go. I think I'll lean that way. I'll probably take that one. they're on the road. They struggled against Kentucky and Cincinnati.
Yep.
I just think Northwestern is not that good. I know it's at Northwestern. Uh, I don't know. I think we've talked about Miami, Ohio on this podcast before.
Yep.
We think they can win the MAC. A lot of the money is on Northwestern. I think too much of it. It's fading the public too. A lot of the money's on the under too. The under. You know what? I'm gonna go Miami of Ohio plus 7.5 in the under.
I like that.
On that one.
I
Yeah.
love Miami, Ohio. Now you say that. I'll go with you
Yeah.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, Ohio plus 7. Another game that I like is a team that I'm coming around on, and I had them as my conference winner going into the season, I had the alternate over on them on the season, and I felt pretty good about it, but I'm starting to feel better and better each week. I like Oklahoma minus 12.5 against K-State. I think that they've been. I was nervous, obviously, about the coach and quarterback leaving. I think that they've been pretty good. Money's kind of split on this game. Over under 52.5. They played Nebraska last week, right? Absolutely killed them. I'm thinking of the right team here, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma did. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I like Oklahoma. I think they keep it rolling here. 12.5 seems a little low to me, especially if I can get it under 14. I like that. So give me Oklahoma here.
Yeah. That's a good pick. Oklahoma looked like they're about to. Last week, I know it was Nebraska. They're terrible. They fired the defense. They were so bad they fired their defensive coordinator after that game.
Crazy.
But they look like they were about to open. They look like they're about to open it up and just start rolling. So I think that's a good pick.
What else you got here, Chip? Anything else in this slate? 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If I'm gonna lean one more, it's gonna be Florida State against Boston College, because I just think Boston College is terrible. But I haven't decided yet. I don't know. It's a lot of points. 17.5 points is a lot of points. But maybe Florida State against Boston College. I
like that.
Oh, and oh my God, SC minus 5.5 against Oregon State. Obviously, riding SC.
A lot of people have been on Oregon State this week, and it made me stay away from it. But they're another one where I bet them last week, and I was able to watch it. I was up for it. I like the way they look, man. They look good. I know you've been on them from the beginning. I'm turning into a believer.
Yeah. I wanted to take the over so bad because it's 70.5, and it's just fun to bet an over like that. But
yeah.
I'm gonna stay away. I'll take SC.
All right, so let's run through John's games quick, and then we'll get out of here. Again, Winning P Weekly on Twitter. We'll tweet out our picks before the games go live. Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. He'll be on there as well, tweeting out his picks, interacting. Like, subscribe. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are available. And on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube, you can find our gambling content there where we go over the NFL, we go over college football, and then you can find Jets content, Knicks content, little etc. content here and there. We go into baseball. We talk about a couple other things, what's going on. So a lot of baseball talk with Aaron Judge right now and these Yankee fans. So it's been quite a battle for me as a Met fan, but we're sticking through it. We're getting through it. John's picks here. Okay, Friday, he likes Air Force first half minus 14. Q's first half minus 6.5. See, that's a first half that I might like because it's right under that football number. We both like both those teams as well. Noon, he likes Iowa minus 2.5. Georgia first half minus 29.5. Wake plus 7. I agree. We talked about Wake. He likes the Wake money line as well. TCU minus 2 for the noon slate. 2 p.m. He likes Ohio minus 17.5 versus Fordham. Again, playing against Fordham. I don't blame you.
Yeah. I don't know if that. I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I didn't even. But yeah, they're playing against Fordham.
Yeah.
And I think Ohio is. I think Ohio's not bad.
Yeah, so. I agree. This is a 3:30 game. I agree. A lot of people are talking about it, but I just haven't had the guts to take it. James Madison plus 7 against App State. App State in the rare double letdown spot. Won on a Hail Mary last week in a letdown spot. James Madison, one of the best offenses in the college football. But again, they haven't played anybody. So I don't know if James Madison's for real. I know James Madison's not like really for real, but real enough to be competitive with App
Real
State.
enough to beat App State, yeah. Because they
Yeah.
almost lost to, let's be real, they almost lost to Troy last week. So
Yeah.
they can be beaten.
Yeah, so +7 for James Madison. I think that's a little bit of a trendy pick. UCF first half -12. Oregon -7. He doesn't care that Bo Nix sucks on the road. It's Bo Nix season. All right. I like that he's on a lot of the games that we talked about already. Georgia Southern -9.5 against Ball State. Add that to my card. I hate Ball State. I can't believe I missed that. Old Dominion -5. ECU first half -9.5. ECU -16.5 full game.
Navy is bad.
Navy does stink. He likes ECU. We all like ECU. I just don't know if I can take it -16.5. Late games, Texas A&M -2. He's really just trying to fade the public here. I kind of agree with it, but again, like I said, I made my Texas A&M money and I'm getting out. I think that's both of you guys on A&M now.
Yeah, we're both on A&M there.
I like that. Iowa -7.5. First half -4. He hates Rutgers. We love Rutgers here on this podcast. I don't care what John says. I don't know how he became such an Iowa fan and stan, but he is. And again, NC State -38.5. They're playing UConn. I agree. When he sees the episode, I'm sure we'll talk. I might talk him into taking the under instead because it's just a lot of points. And then Utah first half -9 to 10:30 slate. I agree. We both like Utah. I'll probably add that as well as well as the full game because again, you're getting under the football number. I love that in the first halves when you can get under a touchdown or under 10 points or under 14, whatever it might be. So I like it. Chip, anything else we got? Anything you got going on right now? Any articles coming out? Any appearances anywhere? Or is it just Twitter?
Twitter right now. I'm working on some stuff right now. But I'm trying to bring the newsletter back, hopefully at some point. Yeah, just I think I'm gonna add Utah first half -9 to my card too. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, I'm working on. Got to get some stuff started for Knicks Fan TV because the season, fortunately, is starting up. So follow, in addition to my Twitter, follow Knicks Fan TV, obviously,
For sure.
always. But yeah, got to get some stuff started there. Want to bring like the newsletter back that I was working on. And yeah, just that. Got to get writing going again.
Great. It's that time of the year. Like you said, basketball's right around the corner. Hockey's right around the corner. World Cup's right around the corner.
World Cup.
Baseball playoffs is right around the corner. I mean, we are entering the best part of the season when it comes to sports. So, again, me, Greg, thank you for being here. Winning P Weekly on Twitter. Chip Murphy 7 on Twitter. Knicks, Jets, etc. everywhere. We will see you guys next week. Let's go Rutgers.